Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're doing a beer that was requested by one of the viewers. I think it was Ben Binks 2012. He asked if we could do a review of this beer, which I have no problem doing if I can get a hold of it. And he told us you could get it at B&M. Well, the B&M I went to was the one in Exeter, which was interesting because it didn't sell any alcohol at all. In fact, what it did sell was a lot of treats for dogs and cats and other pets, and treats for the ladies, a lot of kind of cosmetic and spa things and facial washes and God knows what else, and plastic shelving, and didn't sell any alcohol or any other kind of food stuff or anything like that. So that was a complete disaster. So I then went to a B&M a couple of days later, and I was up in Barnstable, and I went there, and they did sell beer. Unfortunately, they didn't sell the beer that this viewer requested that we reviewed. It sold other strange things, which is fine, because I did get some. And one of the things I did get, which I'm not reviewing today, but it seems to be a bit of a blast from the past, is this. Yes, managed to find this. I haven't had one of these since, God, I was 23 or 24, maybe 22. So yeah, and I'm 50 this year, so, oh God. So I will review that later on, so I will. I'll put that up later. But yes, I'll review that. Plus I got another kind of unusual one as well that just kind of caught my eye. So I didn't get it. So what did I do? Well, I went on to this website, that the brewery that actually produces this beer. Now the beer that he asked us to review was Mann's Brown Ale, which apparently in the Yorkshire area you can get it piss cheap and piss easy, which is wonderful. But bloody difficult for me. So I couldn't get this locally at all, so I actually had to go to the website. And I went to the website, and oh yeah, Marston's, yeah, shysters is what I would call them, not a brewery. So what they do was you can buy 8 bottles of this stuff for £10. I think that's not so bad, £10, it's fine. Yeah, and we're going to charge you almost £9 for delivery. And I'm thinking, but they said, oh, don't worry, you can order another 8 bottles before your delivery costs increase. Will they now? So what I did was I bought another 8 bottles of something else, which I will be reviewing as well. And but yeah, and I also managed to find a discount code that managed to take something like £2.40 off it. So I managed to reduce the delivery costs to, but yeah, basically the equivalent of if I'd ordered the 8 bottles, then I'd be paying over £1 a bottle more for delivery. Which to me is a bit atrocious, to be totally honest. Shysters, a lot of them. And yeah, so yeah, the initial kind of price of the bottles isn't too bad, but yeah, they're certainly making plenty of markup on the actual on the delivery costs. But anyway, I managed to get it, so here we go, we've got it. Ooh. But there's some stuff in the back, there's some spill in the back, so let's read the back first. So it's 2.8%, because it's quite a low alcohol beer. It's a 500ml bottle. I can't remember, I think that Papa Legba, another viewer, says he uses it quite a lot. He gets quite a few bottles. He likes to add it to stews and things like that. And he likes it as just a wee kind of a backup, especially if he's going to have another beer before he goes to bed and thinks, well, should I have a real full one? and you maybe go for one of these because of the lower alcohol content, so it's not so bad. And if he doesn't finish it, then he can always pop it in the stew the next day. So all makes sense, you know. See, perfectly plausible ideas there and advice. But anyways, there's some spiel in the back. So Mann's is the original brown ale, first brewed at the Mann's Whitechapel Brewery in 1902. This historic recipe produces a dark, rich, full-bodied ale with a luscious flavour and hints of roasted creamy toffee. And it's produced by Carlsberg Marston's Brewery Company, Wolverhampton. There you go. Which is lovely, and that's it. So basically, this is best before 31st of January 2024. So yeah, not too bad. And there's nothing really much on it. No real kind of details. Is there anything at the top there? So yeah, first brewed in London in 1902. Now brewed in Wolverhampton in 2023. The complex blend of pale and dark roasted malts still lies at the heart of this classic English beer. Deliciously creamy, biscuity beer with a sweet, lightly hopped Moorish flavour, served lightly chilled. And yeah, so it's 2.8. Done all that kind of woohoo. So yeah, marvellous. So let's crack it open and see what it's like. You've known that. John, you must have the worst. What the fuck? I must have the worst dishwasher in the world. I mean, I don't know why I married her. Thank God she doesn't watch the videos, but her mum does. Her mum and her father in Russia watch my videos. So, hello, Natalia. Привет, Natalia. So yes, mother-in-law watches the videos, and I'm saying all these kind of jokes about the wife, so God knows what she must think of me. But I don't know how they do it because they don't really speak English, so I don't know how they got on watching these videos. Maybe they're using the kind of captions, but God knows what these captions are like, because I had a quick look at them and some of the nonsense they were coming out with. So it must be an absolute roller coaster watching these videos, trying to understand what the hell I'm talking about. And I do tend to go on about strange things that probably aren't really associated with beer, like also making jokes about the wife and everything else. But let's see what this is like. We're going to get a good pour, we're going to get a good pour. You get a good pour, look at that. I notice there's an absolute barrage of these nitro pour kind of gimmicks from the Guinness that everybody's kind of doing because they're on sale at Tesco's. I think the Craft Beer Channel did it about a year ago, but now basically because it's now being sold in Tesco's and you can get a discount and then you get it for £22 if you use your club card, and you get £1 off a 4-pack because of the nitro cans, basically. Nitro Surge, I think it's called Nitro Surge. There you go. So if anybody thinks I should do that, let me know in the comments. If you think I should go and splurge money on that nonsense and that gimmick, then let me know. Because it's not going to cost you anything, and at the end of the day, you probably get me ranting and moaning about it. So if you want me to do that, then give us a shout and put it up there whether I should do it or not. But as you can see, quite a dark ale. It's supposed to be a brown ale, but yes, it's a very kind of dark brown ale. So it is. And yeah, you're definitely getting good aromas there. Yep. Getting dark roasted malts. some kind of sweetness, ever so slight kind of toffee stroke, maybe kind of molassesy kind of thing. Definitely. Kind of sweeter tones. No real hop. It's really all kind of malt forward just by the aromas. But yeah, it smells nice, looks quite nice. A wee bit of lacing on the glass. Let's see what it tastes like. It's nice. It's got some nice flavours. What I would say is it's probably lacking a little bit of body. But it's a 2.8% beer. So you would expect it to have a little bit less in the body because of that. But there's bags of flavour there. And even though it's slightly lacking in the body, there's a nice flavour profile there. And there is some there is bags of flavour there. And there is a sweetness. Now, again, I've gone on about recently having beers that have been a bit too sweet, especially from the Otter Brewery, which is my local brewery. And I don't mind sweetness in beer. I don't mind it. But the problem is, if you feel it just doesn't really add anything, if it doesn't, if it feels that it really shouldn't be there, then yeah, that's what I don't like. I think it's like, well, why is it there? Where does it come from? What's it supposed to be doing there? See, it's different with this one. This is a dark beer with roasted malts, so you expect to try and get kind of a richer malty flavours, and with that you usually get a richer malty kind of sweetness. You do get that. A lot of dark beers have a kind of sweetness to them that you wouldn't find in lighter beers. And when I'm doing a lager and there's a real strong kind of sweetness, kind of underlying sweetness to it, and you're thinking, no, it shouldn't be there. It really shouldn't. And if you really want it to be there, then the first question I would ask is why? Because no, it doesn't work. And that was one of the things that kind of put me off. Now, obviously, I did try a darker beer, but not really that dark. It was more of a kind of amber, and it was sweeter. It's got a sweeter flavour than this. And this is supposed to be kind of sweet. It's supposed to be kind of slightly toffee, caramely kind of flavour tones. But there's a robustness to it because there's other flavours there that can counteract it. If you're also working with kind of more kind of subtle flavour profiles and you have this quite a strong sweetness, again that has a kind of adverse effect on the beer. And that would kind of put me off the two ottery examples that I tried. That were just too sweet. And then of course I did the ale, and it was the best out of the three of them, and it didn't have any kind of real sweetness at all. There was some, but nowhere near the levels of the other two. But it was also balanced off by a nice kind of bitterness, a nice kind of bitter finish. And like I said in that review, it just felt like it was from a different brewery. It did not feel it was brewed by the same people that brewed the other two. Now, yes, we can get different recipes, but it felt like not just different recipes, this is also different ingredients. Everything is kind of different from that point of view, even to the point is that was actually brewed by someone else or another brewery, and then just, I mean, it really was quite dramatically different from that point of view. But what I will do with them is I will monitor them and see if they get any better or see if they change. But as for this, I quite like this. And that is quite Moorish. They didn't lie on the label. So, let's break down the flavours. Start off, you're getting kind of a roasted malts. You get some nice roasted malt flavours at the front of the mouth. And a nice kind of malty sweetness to kind of back it up as well. So you've got this nice underlying malty sweetness. It will go from front to back. But you have this nice kind of I wouldn't say light roasted malts, a kind of mid roasted malts and maybe a little hint of dark, but there are some nice roasted malt flavours there. Moves on to the kind of mid tongue, and I'll just top it up again. Yeah. Mid tongue, you get a bit of grain. You're getting kind of some roasted malts. They're kind of lightened up a wee bit, so they're not as kind of as prominent as at the front of the mouth. So they kind of die down a wee bit. The malty sweetness is slightly died down as well in the mid tongue, but it's still there. And it's still playing a big part. Borough malts again, you just little hints of, how would you say, little hints of bitterness, just little accents of bitterness, almost as if like, it's, how would you say, it's not, it reminds me of the bitterness you get in dark chocolate, but without the real dark chocolate flavour there. So you're not getting the dark chocolate flavour, but you're getting the kind of accents of bitterness that remind me of the bitterness you get in dark chocolate. But there isn't any real kind of chocolatey tones there. It's, how would you describe it? Ever so slightly like the chocolate crumb you used to get. I don't know if you've ever been at a chocolate factory, but when they skim the chocolate, you used to get this crumb. And I used to live near Roundtree's Macintosh factory before it was taken over by Nestle. And you could go and get bags as kids. You could go and chap in the kind of production factory kind of door, and you'd ask nicely for any kind of breakable biscuits or breakable chocolates or any crumb, and they used to give you a little bag, and you can be maybe broken bits of Kit Kat and the skim of the chocolate crumb, which is kind of the foam. But what they used to do was the foam, you had a bit of sweetness to it, but you also had a little kind of, how would you say, you had a kind of slight bitterness in the aftertaste. But it wasn't, it reminded you of chocolate, but there was no real kind of chocolate flavour that followed that bitterness. The chocolate flavour kind of followed the sweetness, so I'm getting a little accent of bitterness. It just reminds me of chocolate, but without the actual kind of chocolate accents and flavours. The only thing I would say about when it moves on to the aftertaste is a bit light. And I think that's probably where you kind of notice it really lacking the body because of the alcohol content and things like that. It's brewed to a certain, it's fermented to a certain way because they want to try and keep the alcohol low, which of course, by keeping it low, you're going to be, well, there's different ways of doing it, but a lot of times they'll reduce the fermentation time, and again, they'll add, some of them will add inhibitors. Probably nowadays are more likely to add inhibitors, but in the past, what they would have done was basically low yeast and high volume from that point of view. And again, they would be basically crashing the yeast and everything else to kill it off and things like that. So there were a few different ways of basically holding back the fermentation process, which again, you're still getting plenty of flavour, but you're just lacking that little bit of body. So the aftertaste kind of dissipates quite quickly. So it moves on to the aftertaste, and it's just all the existing flavours just quickly kind of dying away. And there's no real kind of lingering aftertaste of any of the kind of flavours. So it does tend to kind of dissipate to nothing quite quickly in the aftertaste. And that's probably the only kind of real downside with that. And because of that, it kind of feels that it's kind of lacking a bit of body. But in general, it's very easy to drink, as you can see. Looks nice, and yeah, if you ignore the delivery costs, then it's only just over £1 a bottle. I did, it's very nice, and I'm glad I bought it, and I'm glad it was recommended and or requested by one of the viewers. And yeah, I would recommend it. If you can get hold of it, give it a go. And yeah, I can understand the recommendation of utilising it in, you know, stews and cooking as well and things like that. I think it'd be really, really good from that point of view. But it's also nice just to have in reserve, and if you just fancy a quick, easy drinking beer, it is very sessionable, quick, easy, but some really nice flavours. Just slightly lacking in body, and I would also say the kind of aftertaste is a bit kind of quick to dissipate. But out of 10, what would I give this? Price wise, it gets a good mark. Flavour wise, it gets a good mark. The only thing that kind of really kind of deteriorate, well, there's two things that kind of mark it down, is that slight lack of body, and especially the kind of quick finish of the aftertaste. To that was kind of really quite lacking in the aftertaste from that point of view. And obviously Marston's tried to screw me over with the delivery costs as well, you thieving buggers. So, I mean, obviously if you're going to the shop, you can get it, that's fine, and that doesn't really come into it. But if you're in an area like where I am, where you can't get it for love nor money, and you have to order it from the Shyster's website, then you're ripping the piss a bit. I mean, I could have got another 8 bottles of the same stuff, but if I haven't tried it, then I've got to kind of spread my bets. So I bought another 8 bottles of a different type, but if I was doing it again, then I would probably buy a couple of packs of that. But even then, it's still adding quite a bit to the actual price per bottle, and it doesn't cost that because I know the price of alcohol delivery with couriers, because I do hold a license, an alcohol license, and I have looked into it and did all the kind of research about curing alcohol and everything else, and it's not that expensive from that point of view. So I think they're kind of profiteering on that. So out of 10, what would I give it? I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. If I had a slightly more body and a bit of slightly more to its kind of aftertaste, then it would have got a 7.5 quite easily. If Carlsberg Marsden's weren't trying to rip people off for the delivery costs, then yes, it would probably have got a 7.5 without a better aftertaste. So you've got to look at the overall price, kind of drinking process. It's fine if you can get it from the shop and you're getting it for a good price, then great. But I've got to look at the kind of the overall package. So yes, 6.5 out of 10. But it really probably wouldn't take that much to get it to a 7.5. If you look at it that way, and I would recommend it and give it a go. And I do have a couple of bottles left, and I will be trying it in a stew and see what it's like as well, because I think it would go really quite well. So it's 2.8%. It's a 500ml bottle. It's from the website. It's 8 bottles for £10, and they charge you quite a bit for the delivery. It's basically almost £9. So thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.